file 23169.
Okay, we're on record this morning following a number of conferences between the attorneys, as well as time for Mr. McFarland to talk with his client for the preliminary hearing on this matter. I should note for the record, we did have the appearance of Keyshawn Harrell, but based on my conversation with the attorneys, he is actually he's not a parent. He doesn't have any legal rights to any of the children, so he's been excused, and I anticipate you will be dismissing him off as a respondent.
That's accurate, yeah.
All right, well, let's do appearances before we get into anything further.
Lee Heiss, lawyer guardian ad litem.
Good morning, Your Honor. William Amadeo, P7619 for the department. To my left is my worker, Jamie Freeze. Speaking.
Jamie Freeze from the department.
Michael McFarland, representing Mother. Please introduce yourself.
Jasmine Carver, mother.
Can you hear that?
No, speak up.
Jasmine Carver, mother.
Yeah, see the
Thank
fans
you.
back.
Thank you, back.
Our white noise machine that we listen to all day. Anyway, all right, well, Deputy Ames, would you swear in Ms. Carver for us, please?
You remain seated, but raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
All right, Ms. Carver, I have some preliminary questions for you. Bear with me. Have you received a copy of the petition?
Yes.
Okay, and do you believe, are you a member of any Native American tribe or band, or do you believe that you would be eligible for membership or have any reason to believe that your child or any of your children could be eligible for membership in any Native American tribe or band?
No.
Are there any other matters? I see we have a DS and a DP case here, both 2023 cases. Do those concern your children? Are those like support cases or something?
Yeah, I filed child support on both their fathers because they were not present, and I had tried to work out agreements throughout the years and it just never worked. And so I finally stepped up for me and my children, and then all this happened.
Well, it's okay. I just need to make sure that these are the only other cases that concern your children. Like, does any other court have any cases open?
I do
She
have,
has been arrested, Your Honor, so there is a felony charges downstairs.
All right, but that's just for you. That's not on the children.
no,
Okay.
It's child abuse, felony child abuse.
Yes.
Okay,
No
thank you.
No contact between the children.
Thank
All
you.
right. What I'm talking about is like guardianships, for example. Sometimes children will be in a guardianship with a relative already or something like that. So you just need to make sure we know about all the court cases that do involve your children. Okay, so you do have a right to trial on the allegations of the petition. You have a right to ask for placement today. You have a right to admit or deny anything in the petition. If you'd like to have a jury trial, you'll need to request that within 14 days in writing. My understanding, Mr. McFarland, is that your client would like to put in a no contest plea. Is that right?
That is correct, Your Honor. She was arrested on August 15th, 2 counts of child felony endangerment. It's my understanding, Your Honor. Because of that, she was standing here.
So if you enter a no contest plea, I'm essentially going to consider all of the allegations in the petition as accurate. Do you understand that? I'm sorry?
yes.
Thank you. Okay. I think that's it for now. You have the right to have the petition read onto the record. I'm happy to do that unless you prefer to wait.
I don't need that, as we've gone over it. I believe that's the choice also. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm
That's it. Today. Ms. Heiss, do you think it's in the child's or both children's best interest in this case for me to accept a no contest plea?
I do, yes.
Mr. Amadeo?
I do, Your Honor. If you want to put the work on the stand, I can, but I think we're covered on this issue. I can start to take a factual base if you like.
We'll get to that in a minute. I'm gonna go through her rights with her first.
Absolutely.
All right, okay. Ms. Carter, can you confirm you are the mother of both IC and RV, is that right?
yes.
If I accept your no contest plea, You are giving up your right to a trial by judge or trial by jury. Your right to have the petitioner prove the allegations in a petition by a preponderance of the evidence. Your right to have witnesses against you appear and testify under oath at trial. Your right to cross-examine witnesses, and the right to have the court subpoena any witnesses that you believe could give testimony in your favor. You understand you'll be giving up or waiving the rights I just indicated to you if you enter a no contest plea.
Yes.
With regard to the consequences of your plea, or in other words, what will happen, the court will do the following. It will be continued investigation by the caseworker to see what the problems are in your family and how and whether they can be solved. The court could dismiss the case if there is no need for the court to be involved. If it appears that there is a problem that may be solved, the court can make the children temporary wards of the court, place them with mother or father or with relatives, or in foster home, and order programs for you and your children, such as counseling, drug and alcohol treatment, assessments, and parenting classes. If it appears that you will not be able to provide a proper home for the children in the reasonably foreseeable future, the court can terminate your parental rights. In regard to the plea itself, the plea can also later be used as evidence in a proceeding to terminate your parental rights. Do you understand the consequences of your plea? Did you get that, Ms. Sawyer?
She needs to get either closer to the microphone or speak up.
Yes.
And that one doesn't move, but maybe we could use our mobile. We need to get down there and get some.
Yes.
Testing.
So do you understand the consequences of your plea? Thank you, much better. Any questions about any of your rights or any of the information I've given you so far?
No.
All right. Is anyone forcing you to enter a no contest plea?
No, ma'am.
Has anyone threatened you in order to get you to enter a no contest plea?
No, ma'am.
Are you under the influence of drugs, alcohol, or any other mental or physical condition that could impair your ability to understand what you're doing right now?
No, ma'am.
Has anyone promised you anything in order to get you to enter a no contest plea?
No, ma'am.
Would you say your decision to enter a no contest plea is one you're making of your own free will?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. All right. Before we go into the basis for the plea, Mr. Amadeo, from my conversation here with Ms. Carver, it looks like there are 2 civil court cases that concern the children. Is there, are both of these children with their non-respondent parents at this time?
Yes, Your Honor, both are. In fact, Andrea Cartwright, who's the attorney for non-respondent father, was on earlier. I told her I didn't think you needed her, but she made an appearance that she's filing a custody order. So I believe things are moving in that direction.
And there are bond conditions, is that right, Mr.?
Yes, Your Honor, she's to have no contact with the 2 minor children.
All right. So what role will the department be playing in order to provide further protections for the children? Considering that there's bond conditions and that the children are already with their non-respondent parents.
Well, one of the fathers is actually putative. Isabel's father is putative. He had a DNA test hearing on the 28th of August, and he has not received the results back yet. And it happened in Washington County Prosecutor's Office, because that's the county he lives in.
Right, so there's no actual order then as it relates to that child, is that what you're saying?
Correct.
That's correct.
Okay.
I did call that prosecutor's office when we met this yesterday, so I expect they'll get back to me in 30 days or so.
Curry is the father's name. He told me, they told him it takes about 4 weeks to get results back, and he told me he would send me the results when he gets it.
All right. So is the idea then to offer services to the mom based on the allegations? Is that what you believe your role will be? Because with her pending criminal cases, I'm not sure how much she's going to really engage in services.
I mean, yeah, I mean, the case, we plan to just transfer it over to foster care workers right here at us. So I'm sure, she probably has kind of an idea on what services we can, try to provide Jasmine pending, her criminal.
The department is willing to serve its mom if she's willing to do.
I can't hear her at
Oh,
all.
I apologize.
Do you want to come up to the podium and give us your name? Thanks.
Eva Kopas, EVAKOPAS. The department is willing to service mom if she's willing to do the services. Despite the criminal hearing, goal is still reunification, and so we were willing to work with mom. I will also be supervising the children in the homes, visiting them, making sure that any services that they need will also be addressed as well. So we can plan to move forward as if this were a regular foster care case.
Have you spoken to the respective fathers?
I have not. Technically, this case is not assigned to me for 5 more days, but I wanted to be here to get a jump start. So my plan is to meet with them this week and discuss their plans for what they would like. I think that any of the services that we can offer mom will benefit her moving forward, even if she does not regain full custody of her children, that they will still benefit her and her parenting.
Mr. McFarland, does your client intend to engage in services?
She does, Your Honor, we've had that discussion.
Okay, all right. Well, all right, we'll let the petition proceed forward then, as long as you think that's in the best interest of the children as well, Ms. Hikes.
Yes, I have not been able to see the children yet. We're still at prelim stage, but if there were any indications that these placements weren't appropriate, mom would be attending services and be ready if needed. I think so to progress with services is, I think, in the best interest of the children.
All right, very well. As it relates then to the factual basis of the plea, Mr. Andrea.
Thank you, Your Honor. Call Jamie Freeze to the stand.
All right, Mr. Reese, coming on to our witness stand this morning. Thank you.
Swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Good morning.
Morning.
Please spell your full name for the record.
Jamie Freese, Jamie Freisse.
And Jamie, what's your role in this matter?
I'm the Child Protective Services investigator for the case.
Did you draft this petition?
I did.
Okay. As an investigator, and I guess it was fair to say, would you know more about this case at this juncture than anybody else?
Correct.
Okay. As the investigator of this matter, how'd you learn about the allegations contained in the petition?
We received a complaint in the beginning of July regarding physical abuse on both of the children.
In your opinion, do you believe there's substantial risk of harm to these children, their life or physical well-being if they remained in the care and custody of respondent mother today?
Correct.
Okay. Well, reasonable efforts were made to prevent removal of any?
There was safety planning that was involved within my investigation. And I did put a couple services in the home for Jasmine.
Okay. Who is the proposed placement?
What'd you say?
Who is the proposed placement for the?
Isabel would be with her putative dad, and then Reese with his legal father.
Okay. Do you believe the proposed placements are the least restrictive to ensure child safety?
Yes.
All right. Did you hear or did you see Andrea Cartwright, the lawyer for one of the non-respondent fathers today?
I did.
Okay. Is it true that she said she was filing a custody order for her client?
Yes.
What's the actual allegation here, Jamie?
Physical abuse. There was injuries on Reese.
Okay. Was there a police investigation?
There was with Detective Putnam from the Adrian Police Department.
Do you know what the results were of that?
Yes, he actually did a search warrant at Jasmine's home, and he did find a belt that was located in the apartment. He sent his report over to the prosecutor's office, and then they authorized third-degree child abuse charges on Jasmine and Keyshawn.
Okay, so is it accurate that Ms. Carter has one count of child abuse third degree?
Correct.
And to your knowledge, is it true that Keyshawn Harrell's not living in the house?
My knowledge, correct.
And he is not the bio dad?
Correct.
Nor is he the legal dad, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So can you tell us about the safety plan you put in place?
In the beginning of my investigation, when I spoke with Jasmine, both children were actually not living with her. They were with other caregivers. And I asked Jasmine if the children could stay with those caregivers for the time being until I could fully, do my investigation, because it was the very first day I got the case. I didn't really know much about it. And she did not follow that safety plan, and she picked up the children that day. And so I put the safety plan in that Keyshawn is to not have any unsupervised contact with the children, and then not to use physical discipline on the children.
Based on your history in the field and on this case, do you believe there's statutory grounds for jurisdiction?
Yes.
What would they be?
The medical exam that was done on Reese, definitely, the results that came back on Reese, the safety planning that wasn't followed right in the beginning of my investigation. Jasmine still till this day cannot tell me where the bruises came from on race, so there is a huge, risk of harm for the children and the children's disclosures that were made during the interviews.
Would it be fair to say there's substantial risk of harm to the children at this point?
Yes.
All right, if Judge Saul were to authorize this petition and provide relief requested, what is your recommendation for parenting time, if any?
Well, due to the ongoing criminal, parenting time would need to be suspended until the bond conditions maybe get lifted.
Would it be fair to say that there would be no recommendation for parent time because of those criminal bond conditions?
Correct.
Is there anything else you want to add for Judge Saul?
No.
Your Honor, at this point, I ask that all supporting documents be admitted, and I have no further questions for this witness.
Objections?
None.
No,
Very good, they are received. Any questions for this witness, Mr. McFarland?
I do. If my client's bond conditions were lifted to have supervised parenting time in the felony case, would that be something this agency would then go ahead with supervised parenting time?
Yeah, as long as the bond conditions are lifted.
If the putative father turns out not to be a biological father, my client would like to have her own biological father considered for placement. Can you get that information from her?
Yes.
Nothing further. Well, I guess. Yeah, nothing further.
It's, I see that has the DNA test pending, is that right? Correct. Okay, thank you, just whatever.
Yep.
All right, any questions, Ms. Heiss?
Ms. Freeze, what is the arrangement for sibling visits?
That's a good question. That would be a question probably for the foster care worker.
Okay, so as we leave CPS investigator and going into foster care, is it true that your recommendation is for supervised visits if and when the criminal no contact is lifted?
Correct.
Okay, and you have done as a trauma screening checklist on the children, and you're willing to provide that to me as a baseline?
Yes.
Thank you, nothing further.
Thank you for your testimony. May I return your seat?
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else you'd like us to hear from?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Good. All right, attorneys, are you satisfied with the advice, rights, and factual basis of the plea?
I am.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes,
Thank you very much. The court is also satisfied that the plea is knowingly, understandingly, and voluntarily made with a full understanding of the consequences, and that the record supports that one or more of the statutory grounds alleged in the petition are true. And of course, stems from the allegations of physical abuse in this case that have arisen to the point that they have sort of triggered criminal charges against this particular parent. And so the allegations in this, thank you. The court just received a copy of the written advice of rights. It's, our parent has acknowledged that she's received. I do find that jurisdiction is necessary and appropriate for purposes of offering the family services as a result of the home or environment being unfit as a result of that criminality and abuse. And the neglect that arises out of that to the mental well-being of the children as well as the physical well-being at this time. So the two provisions of the statute that the court's been asked to consider under MCL 712.8.2b A, B, 1 and 2 are appropriate, and I am taking jurisdiction under those particular parts of the statute. Our next hearing will be the disposition hearing. That is where the case services plan will be reviewed by the court and determined to be what, well, and that will be what governs your road to unification as far as this court's concerned. I can't do anything or affect anything as it relates to your criminal case that's being handled by a different judge. So in the event that your bond conditions change and parenting time may become available to you, that's something that we can talk about here. That's going to continue to be governed by our court, even in the event that your bond conditions get changed to allow you to see the children. Do you understand? So yes.
Yes.
Any other issues for today, Mr. Amadeo?
Just a couple, Your Honor, just whenever, I didn't hear a date yet, correct?
No, not yet. I'm looking right now.
They'll need an order today because there's a removal, and just a couple of housekeeping things. The two siblings, based on Ms. Place's question, are in different locations. Actually, a distance apart, Ipsy and Canton, you said?
Ipsy and Belleville.
Ipsy and Belleville, so we'll see what we can do about getting them some time together. And for what it's worth, I'll reverse Mr. McFarland. If Ms. Underwood wants to reach out to me, I will talk to the prosecutor about bond conditions. If Ms. Carter, hopefully she gets us down on misdemeanor or something, but if the bond condition is removed, I have no issue with supervised visitation if they're talking to my team, Judge.
I will address that with Ms. Underwood.
For purposes of disposition.
Not sure.
I have some time on Tuesday, October 3rd at 3 o'clock. Will that work?
Yes,
Make that work, Judge, thank you.
All right, so between now and then, Ms. Carver, they'll be reaching out to you to sit down to talk about that case services plan, and it's important that you be part of that, to look at the services that they want you to do, to determine whether or not you can do them, where you're gonna do them at. I'm sure it's going to involve parenting classes, therapeutic interventions, psychological evaluation. These are all things that are typical when we have an abuse case like this, to try to identify the things that got you into this situation and help you climb out of it in a way that will prevent that from happening in the future. Understand?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So we'll be back Tuesday, October 3rd for the disposition. Any further argument before we close the record?
Joe, thank you, Your Honor.
Can I make my finding?
I would just suggest that when we're done, the court gets my client's address and phone number, and she's currently homeless.
All right, we'll figure that out in a moment. Ms. Ice.
nothing further. Thank you.
Okay. All right, it does appear that there is a risk of harm associated with allowing these children to remain in the care and custody of their mother. So the court order will reflect also that the children have been placed with their non-respondent parents under the authority of our court, with the requirement that they do see each other at least monthly. Hopefully 2 to 3 times a month will end up being what happens, but we'll leave that to be arranged by our foster care caseworker, parents. We'll continue to monitor the situation. The order will reflect that ICWA does not apply, and there's no reason to inquire as to that, but if one of these other parents, one of the fathers, has that issue, I would expect that to be explored thoroughly and immediately. Come back for the disposition, and in the meantime, I'm not going to allow parenting time at this juncture, but if something changes with your bond conditions, just let us know, and we'll have a look at what kind of parenting time we can arrange for you. Any other questions?
I have one, Your Honor. I do see I am going on the 3rd to a conference.
Oh.
Maybe the 10th, we could do that date instead?
We have
Or
a
another
full day that day.
Okay.
I have some time on the 9th in the afternoon, 1:30.
That's fine, Your Honor.
Make that work, Judge. Thank you.
All right, so 1:30 on Monday, the 9th will be our disposition. Okay? All right, we'll see you all then. I'll issue this order in just a few minutes. If you'd like to have a copy, you're welcome to have a signature.
3169.
All right, we are here today for the initial disposition of father, I believe, but we'll confirm that after appearances.
Lee Heiss, lawyer guardian ad litem.
Mother.
Sorry, Nastasia Thomas, counsel for the department. Ms. Colbert?
Eva Copus, child welfare specialist with MDHHS.
Michael McFarland, representing mother, who is in the bathroom right now, Your Honor.
Oh, all right. So Ms. Jasmine Carver is the parent whose disposition we're looking at for today. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, your name?
Jasmine.
All right, come on up and have a seat next to Mr. McFarland. Welcome. All right, we have all the players. Let's go ahead. Ms. Heiss, your report.
Thank you, Your Honor. I was able to visit, both children are placed with their, one with their father, one with their putative father. I was able to schedule visits with both children. I had to cancel, for Isabel's visit, but Reese, I was able to visit through Zoom, and, his father is a real strength for him, is a very knowledgeable person in child rearing. He has an extended family that helps with the child. The child has structure, she has I'm talking about Reese this time. He has nurture, he looks comfortable in the home. He had not lived there permanently before, so this is new for him, but he looks very well adjusted. He and his dad seem to have a bond. They physically touch each other and look very comfortable around each other. And then Isabel, I look forward to meeting with her father by Zoom. They're both placed out of Lenawee County, and I think that concludes my report right now.
Ms. Thomas.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Copus can be sworn in to give her report and the request for disposition started.
Yes. Go ahead.
You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Ms. Copus. How are you involved in this matter?
I'm the assigned foster care worker to the case.
And did you prepare a court report with a proposed case service plan today?
I did.
And included in that report, did you also include the DNA test results for minor child eye Carver?
Yes.
And then I believe this morning we received trauma checklists for these children. Is that correct?
Yes.
Your Honor, if I may inquire from fellow counsel in this court whether those were received by all parties?
Yes.
Yes.
So I have the court report. Proposed case services plan, a DNA test report. Case services report, trauma screening checklist for both children. No, no other additional exhibits. Trauma assessments, trauma screenings.
Screenings.
Okay,
Is
yes,
this-
I have the screen.
Thank you. And Ms. Copus, on your cover letter, you indicate the name of another family in the opening paragraph. Would you like to amend that to reflect the last name of the children or Ms. Carver's last name there instead?
Yes, I apologize for the error.
Your Honor, if we may, just for clarity's sake, on that cover page, currently reads, it's regarding the Varga Avalos family. If we could amend that, excuse me, to reflect the Carver Viezi family.
No objection.
No objection.
Okay, where are we looking?
It is on the
I see.
MDHHS 5964.
Carver, okay, Carver. Got it.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Copus, as it relates to your court report and all the attachments, are there any other amendments or modifications that need to be made to those documents?
No.
At this time, do you believe that the children would be at a substantial risk of harm if they were to be returned to their mother's care today?
I do.
And can you just briefly elaborate what that harm would be?
The conditions that brought the kids have not been rectified. In my conversations with mother, I am also concerned with accountability towards the abuse and neglect that the children have received. We've had conversations briefly, and I'm concerned if mom understands the severity and where we're at and what exactly has happened to her children. the abuse that occurred has not been rectified and the services have not been put in place in order to rectify those.
And the main condition that caused the children to come into care is physical abuse, is that correct?
It is, and in my conversations with mom up until recently, she had maintained regular contact with Keyshawn, who was the other alleged adult that perpetrated the abuse and neglect of the children.
And what is the current permanency goal for the children?
Current permanency goal is reunification, also family preservation. Both children are placed with their biological fathers, with Reese being placed with his legal father as well.
Sorry, I just am reviewing the dates on some of these things. For the DNA, for the little girl, was that entered into a different custody case as well?
I believe that case is through a different county, and I apologize for not knowing it off the top of my head. I want to say it's through Washington.
Okay, that's fine. And do you know if there has been any update to the legal paternity status for her father?
I have not been made aware of any changes.
Okay. And today, is that part of the request of this court is to determine that Mr. McQueen is the child's legal or biological father?
Yes.
And currently, as relates to defining with mother, what are those barriers to reunification?
The barriers to reunification right now are housing, mental health treatment, parenting education, and maintaining contact away from Keyshawn. She also has a criminal proceeding, which my understanding that bond conditions remain in place, and that is preventing us from having parenting time.
Has the agency or the department started any services or made any referrals to address those barriers to reunification?
Not for mother at this time. We have started services on the children. That has been our main focus. Given the outcomes of the trauma checklist, as well as comments that Carver has made to dad and other family members, I also referred her for a trauma assessment.
And in preparing the proposed case service plan, were you able to consult with Ms. Carver on that?
I was briefly able to talk with her on the 12th on the removal, and then we briefly spoke on the 19th, and then we also spoke today. She is open to all services. Although I do have my concerns that I noted earlier, she is willing to do the services. She wants to reunify with her children. And so I do believe that she will try her best to be successful with this treatment plan.
And in your conversation with her, did she indicate whether there were any other additional services that she might benefit from?
We agreed that mental health treatment, specifically therapy, that she was struggling with the kids being gone, and that we thought therapy would be a best fit for her. Excuse me.
Thank you. And there is currently the no contact order from the criminal case. Do you have any updates on that case at all?
My understanding is that that case has been postponed until November 3rd. I don't have any updates.
Okay, that is fine. Is there any anything further you would like to bring to the court's attention from your court report or any of the attached documents?
I would just like to know that during the trauma screening checklist, the main reason for the trauma assessment is that Carver was making statements about sexual in nature, and there was an incident in which she tried to insert a toy into her sister during a bath time. And so with those two things, we believe that she needs further assessment.
Thank you. Your Honor, I have no further questions from Ms. Kopus and would move to admit the court report and the proposed case service plan.
No
With the
objection.
No objection. No objection.
Thank you. They are received. Questions, Mr. McFarland?
Briefly, you reviewed this proposed case service plan with my client some time ago, correct?
We reviewed it briefly today prior to this hearing. We were scheduled to meet at 1 and we had met. And then we had 2 previous conversations in which we had discussed the services that would be put into the plan.
So she didn't sign it until today? Is that what I'm hearing?
Correct.
Okay.
But she was emailed to her at the email that she provided to the court on the 2nd.
And she's to have a psychological evaluation, correct?
That is one of the things you're requesting, yes.
And have you not made a referral for that?
Not at this time, no.
Can you tell us why she says she's willing to do everything that hasn't been done?
Was focusing on doing the children's referrals and their assessments first, and then working on towards mother next.
I guess I'm not understanding why a telephone call couldn't be made for referral.
Because a referral is not a simple phone call.
Okay, what does that consist of?
It consists of impiling all of her history, so all the court orders, any additional assessments that she may or may not have, any other assessments that the children may or may not have had, and then articulating that and what we are looking for into a memo.
Thank you. You indicated there's some individuals she's still having contact with. Who is that?
My understanding is his name is Kishan, and he is her co-defendant in her criminal hearing, and he was also the alleged other perpetrator in this case, which we dismissed because he was not a legal parent.
You know, I don't see in your case service plan that she's not supposed to have contact, correct?
That is correct.
Is that something that you want her not to have contact? I mean, it sounds like you don't want her to have contact. That's not in the case service plan. So
I
what's your
apologize.
position?
I apologize for not being articulated in the case service plan. My expectation is that she would not be made have contact with him, as he is her co-defendant, that it is alleged that he abused and neglected her children. And I've had this conversation with her in which she replied that he was her only support. Currently, the vehicle that she's living in is in his name. She still has contact with this person, and it is very concerning to the department. And so, no, I would request that she doesn't have contact with him.
Let me ask you, if she's living in his vehicle and may need some contact to get her clothes out or something, could she go through you and have you be that intermediary?
I have no contact with Kishan. I wouldn't be the good intermediary for that.
Or would you propose that she contact him if something is necessary?
I propose that she find other arrangements for her housing, so that she does not have to communicate with him.
So would you consider, I don't want to make sure she's not doing something you don't want her to, but if she uses an agent, somebody to talk to him for her, would you consider that communicating?
My concern is more is what is the need to have conversations with him?
Okay, may I live in your car further? May I use the car further so you don't take it from me so I don't have transportation to go places, for example?
I don't believe that this is a positive support, and this is not someone that I would recommend that she continue to have support from.
Are you asking that that be included in the case service plan?
Yes.
Okay, nothing further.
Ms. Harris?
You have been to IC's home, correct?
I have.
And you, maybe twice by now.
I have.
And did you find anything there that is concerning that we should know about?
No, actually, considering the fact that their dad has other children in the home is very well kept. The kids are very well behaved. I've been there with all of them. I've been there with dad trying to do homework with all of them. He manages quite well. Isabel is fitting in with her siblings. She's doing well to keep them. They're all
Perhaps
together.
not use first names.
I apologize. Thank you. IC is doing well in that home, yes.
In RV, you've been there to see him at least once.
I've seen him twice now.
Twice now too. And anything concerning that we should know about?
I have no concern to his placement either.
Okay. Since these two placements are actually now at least biological, fathers, could they be included in your like court reports, make sure they get the pleadings, like the orders after court and that kind of thing?
Yes.
Okay, that concludes my questioning. Thank you.
Thank you. On that point, I did not receive a proof of service indicating that the court report of the attachments were served on the parties or the attorneys. Could you address that?
I have a copy for you. I also did email it this morning as well, whichever you prefer. I have just a letter, or the email highlights that I had emailed it to her, and a copy of it.
So who did you send it to by email?
I emailed it to Mother, a copy of the case service plan. And so I just have a copy of the case service plan and an email showing that it was emailed to her.
So did she receive the court report?
Yes. And the case service plan. Sorry, I'm using one verbiage and I should be using two. The court report and the case service plan were together in that email.
Okay, and that went this morning?
No, that email went out on the 2nd. The proof of service and the trauma checklist came today.
Got it. Okay, thank you for clarifying that. So we'll just look for your proof next time with your court report 7 days ahead of time.
Thank you.
And email service is fine. That's generally speaking how, we can make sure that everybody gets it 7 days ahead of time. So mom, by extension, needs to make sure she has a good email address with you.
She did admit that she had received it.
Good.
Thank you.
Questions based on my questions?
Thank you.
Ms. Coppins, we also talked about in the future, in addition to Mr. McFarland and myself, if you would send to pdo.probate@lenawee.mi.us. That way our clerk can put the documents in our file.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Nothing further.
Thank you for your testimony. May I return your seat? Thank you. Anyone else you'd like us to hear from, Ms. Thomas?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. McFarland?
I'd like to call my client, please, Your Honor.
All right. Okay. Ms. Jasmine Carver, come on up to our witness stand.
Please raise your right hand.
Sorry.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Careful, there's a statute.
How would you like me to call you today?
Jasmine.
Okay, Jasmine, you're going to need to speak up your little soft voice, okay?
I'm sorry about that.
Okay, you're fine now. You and I have had an opportunity to go over the proposed case service plan, correct?
Yes.
That's what they want, the proposal for the court to order you to do and the agency to do and the placement to do, correct?
Yes.
Do you understand what's in it now?
Yes.
And are you willing to have the court order everybody into that case service plan?
Yes.
Understanding that's kind of your roadmap, that's your instructions on what you have to do to get this case closed. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. You also heard the worker indicate that there's an individual she'd like you not to have contact with, which is a co-defendant on your criminal case, correct?
Yes.
Do you think that's a good idea?
Well, currently, I don't have anything. I've been stripped of my job, my home, and so that's the only person who has shown me any kindness throughout this and letting me stay in the car and having transportation to where I need to go.
So telling us you sleep in a car right now?
Yes, I lost my home due to this whole case.
Would you like assistance from the agency in helping you find someplace rather than a vehicle to sleep in?
That would be wonderful. I would like to do anything that I can and make any steps that I can into improving my life at home and the life of my children.
If the agency were to provide you transportation tickets, let's say for Dial a Ride or Lonely Transportation, so you can get to these appointments and other things, would that be helpful?
Absolutely.
Do you need help perhaps assisting you in finding a job?
I have recently just got a job at Frickers where I have to go today at 4. So I believe I am okay in that area right now.
And when you get your paychecks, can you give a copy to the worker so she knows that you're working, because that's required that you are employed?
Absolutely.
Okay. Is there anything else that you would need help on this case?
I'd really like to start a career in schooling. I want to further my life and build a career and a stable home for me and my children.
You understand this other individuals accused of doing some things to your children that are inappropriate, correct?
Yes.
Okay. They find you housing and give you transportation tickets. Would there be any need for you to have his car then?
No.
Is there somebody who you can have communicate to this individual rather than you?
I don't have anybody. He was the only person I had left.
If you need to reach out to him, is that something you could do by email and not telephone? So there's a record of what you guys say.
What was that? I'm sorry.
If you feel the need to reach out to him, is that something you can do by email or text so your worker can have a copy?
Yes, I have recently blocked him just because I have been told that I can't have any contact with him.
If this court orders that you have no contact with him, are you okay with that position?
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to make sure what your position is. Any other issues that we need for the court to address before this court orders everybody into the case service plan?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Is there another court that has no contact, like a bond condition or something that prevents?
Yes, I had asked my attorney to see if we could change that so we could have some supervised visits or maybe go through classes together, like mommy and me classes or something, and they said,
So this is contact between you and your children?
yes.
Okay, I was talking about you and Keyshawn Harrell. Is there a no contact
No,
bond
there
condition?
No, there's a there is no contact
Okay,
between us.
thank you for clarifying. Mr. McQueen, you're muted, which is probably good because if I were able to hear what you were saying, I have a feeling I'd be telling you not to interrupt. So just be patient, and if you like, you can turn your video off. Okay, Ms. Thomas, any questions for Ms. Carver?
I have none, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Heiss.
Yes, Jasmine, the DNA test that came back, do you agree that it is accurate in reflecting that Carrie McQueen is the father of IC?
Yes,
And have you ever been married to anybody?
no,
So you weren't married at the time that IC was born, correct?
no,
Do you want the judge to make Mr. McQueen the legal father of IC?
he is her father.
He is her biological father. Leading up to this case, had IC visited with Mr. McQueen?
Yes,
Okay. And then is there a custody case between you and Mr. McQueen?
no, I did file for child support on both fathers. But that was the only thing.
What county was that in?
It was 3 Lenawee.
And when did that happen?
It happened back in June. I was having a hard time financially supporting both kids. So, and I was receiving benefits from the state, and to be in compliance with my benefits from the state, I was to go through child support.
Okay, we're finding that these fathers have, for example, housing and income sufficient to take care of the children. Do you have any reason to believe their needs are not being met in these placements?
Not financially, no.
Okay. So you believe the needs are being met?
Yes. And I'm able to help out with that in any way I can if I'm able to.
With your criminal charges, is it accurate that your next court date on that is November 3rd?
Yes.
Is that in front of which judge?
Shadler, I believe, Laura Shadler.
All right. Who is your attorney for that case?
Rhonda Underwood.
Okay. Do you know if any charges against Keyshawn Harrell have been, has he figured out his charges yet?
he has the same ones as mine, but there's really nothing against him. He was never really home. He was always at work. So he has the same charges as me, but they're not as bad as mine.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Okay, any redraft?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you for your testimony. May I return to your seats? Anyone else you want us to get?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. Heiss?
I have no witnesses today. Thank you.
Ms. Thomas, any comments in closing?
Thank you, Your Honor. Given the DNA test results and that the child is placed with Mr. McQueen, we would ask that you find or make a judicial determination that he is the child's legal father in this matter. Otherwise, we would request that Ms. Carver be ordered into the case service plan as proposed today and set this matter for a 90-day review. Thank you.
Mr. Farrell?
I think that's appropriate.
Ms. Heiss?
I agree that that's appropriate. We have some really strong fathers in this case. It's such a relief for these children to have that resource. Thank you.
Thank you. The court finds all interested parties are given notice for purposes of today's review, initial disposition hearing. We still apparently have outstanding bond conditions that prohibit visits between this parent and child. In the event those are lifted, any parenting time that must be undertaken must be supervised by the department. And I'm still looking for an outstanding recommendation from any counselor or expert on the duration, frequency, and appropriateness of parenting time. So hopefully, as a result of those trauma assessments, there will be a recommendation for parenting time that was ordered in the preliminary hearing. Upon consideration of those bond conditions and the outstanding charges for mom, I have received the court report indicating there are some services underway, spearheaded by Ms. Kopis, of course. Mr. McFarland made his point today that we'd like to have those services in place as quickly as possible. Clearly, Ms. Carver needs some assistance in securing some resources to help her put some more space between her and her co-defendant. But I hear very clearly concerning concerns from Ms. Kopis and some of our other non-respondent parents of the continued contact between these two individuals, and I could see the issue there. So it will be up to Ms. Jasmine Carver to make her own way moving forward, but of course, the priority of this court will always be the children, and exposure to this individual is absolutely not appropriate. And I would hope, Ms. Carver, in the near future that you'll be able to find a way to make your separation from this person a little more permanent, because that is certainly what is within the best interest of the children in this particular case. And if you are still seeing him at the time it becomes time to look at parenting time, there will be no unsupervised parenting time until and unless you're able to sever that connection with this person. And furthermore, if there's any indication during parenting time that you're continuing to advocate a position that is contrary to the children's welfare, or even talking to them about this person, then we'll have to suspend parenting time as well through this court. Do you understand?
Yes.
It's very, your children have been through some very serious things as a result of what's happened. And there's no question that this individual should not be part of their reality moving forward. All right. Ms. Heiss is also certainly in compliance with her obligations. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
There remains a substantial risk of harm associated with returning these two children to the care of their mother, although not any harm, as we've seen, with continuing their care with their fathers. So in that sense, they are certainly in the safest and least restrictive place at this time, considering that mom still has outstanding criminal charges and all of the issues that are associated with that, as well as the housing and income that she's articulated for us on the record today. The children will remain in the sole care and custody of their fathers moving forward. I didn't hear a lot about visitation, but I'm just going to take a moment to say that I do want to see these kids be able to see each other. I often hear from older children that their experiences are most memorable with respect to the fact that they have or have not been able to see their siblings. It's a point that they take a lot away from. So please make your best efforts to see if you can't arrange for these kids to be able to continue to see each other, and I'll look for that from Ms. Copus as well. The case services plan is appropriate. It targets the areas that have been identified by this board in the past, as well as revisited today. And it will be the measuring stick, if you will, moving forward on whether or not there's progress being made. And unless there's any questions, we'll come back on January 4th at 2:30 for our next, or our first regular review, January 4th, 2024 at 2:30. Unless there's any.
Jasmine, you want to come on up to the podium? All right. Miss Underwood, I have Jasmine Carver here in person. So hold on a second. So were you going to get another pretrial date on her?
I believe this is arraignment. Yes, I was, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. This is in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Jasmine Michelle Carver. File number 2024-21740FH. I have Rhonda Underwood appearing on behalf of Miss Carver, and I have Isaac Sneed appearing on behalf of the people. This is the date and time set for arraignment in this matter. Miss Underwood, do you waive the reading of the felony information?
We would waive the reading of the felony information, Your Honor, acknowledge its receipt and the receipt of the witness list and request for discovery. We would ask that the court enter a not guilty plea on Ms. Carver's behalf and set this for a pretrial, probably late April, Your Honor.
All right, so I'm going to set a pretrial for April 24 at 8:30 in the morning. I will enter a plea of not guilty on her behalf. And Mr. Sneed, do you know if a plea offer has been made in this case yet or not?
Yes, we are working on that, Your Honor.
Okay,
but some
very
things
good.
have to happen in probate court.
So I know it gets confusing, but Ms. Carver, so on your criminal case, you always come see me, okay? On your other stuff, I think you go to the probate court.
Okay.
All right?
I've never really been in trouble before, so.
No, it's okay. And have a seat on that bench. Miss Adams, could I get a notice of hearing for her today so she has one when she leaves?
Your Honor, was that April 24th?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, so Miss Underwood. I think Miss Underwood, there she is. Okay. So I'll let Mr. McQueen in. Is he speaking today?
No, no.
All right, Mr. McQueen, we're gonna start here in a minute. I'm gonna go ahead and mute you just for the hearing. Sometimes we just pick up backup noise. All right. This is in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Jasmine Michelle Carver, file number 24-21740FH. I have Rhonda Underwood appearing on behalf of Miss Carver. Miss Underwood, have you and Miss Wagner checked in and
Yes, we have.
know what we're doing today?
Yes, we are proceeding with sentence under the terms that we discussed in G1st.
With the other prosecutor? Like,
Yes, I'm
Yes,
sorry,
okay.
yes.
okay, I was like, which comments?
We discussed today.
So, Miss Underwood, Miss Wagner, we have Mr. McQueen on Zoom today, but then we also have guardians for some of the children that are present today that would like to speak. And because they are guardians, I believe they're entitled to speak. So you have no objection to that?
I don't have any objection, Your Honor.
So anyway, I have Rhonda Underwood appearing on behalf of Ms. Carver and Amanda Wagner appearing on behalf of the people. Ms. Carver is appearing via Zoom. So Ms. Carver, have you had a chance to read and review the pre-sentence report?
Yes.
Have you had an opportunity to discuss that report with your attorney?
Yes.
Are you satisfied with your attorney and the advice that she has given you?
Yes.
All right, Ms. Underwood, do you wish to explain or challenge the accuracy or relevancy of any information in the pre-sentence report?
We do not, Your Honor.
Do you, Ms. Wagner?
No, Your Honor.
All right, let's see. She has no, she has one prior offense back in 2015. So, and there are no guidelines because this is a misdemeanor. So, Ms. Underwood, I would just ask that you allow Ms. Wagner and the victims to speak first. Okay, all right, so Ms. Wagner, you have someone who wants to speak?
Yes, Your Honor, we have Wanda Short and Marnie Apple.
Okay, one at a time, they can come up. I'm just gonna step up to the podium. And if you could state your full name for the record.
Wanda Short,
How do you spell your last name?
SHORT.
Okay, very good. So what would you like to say to me?
I picked the kids up on the day all this happened, and the first thing was Mommy and Keys whooped Reese because they beat Reese. And that Reese says he has nightmares from this now, and he speaks as to Jasmine and Keys as their monsters. And Isabel, his sister, the trauma from it onto her is she couldn't even go into a bathroom by herself anymore. Not at all. And she was never like that. She was fearless. And she will sit on the floor and hold herself until somebody will come with her. That she's so traumatized from this. And I just wanted to, to make that aware that these kids, this is what over onto them, they are afraid. They're terrified because of that. And I just want them to be okay. And I just, I want to make sure that they're fine.
They're in counseling?
Yeah, they do need, well, we're starting Isabel in counseling now, but yeah, they both need to be counseling, I think, yes.
Have they gone to counseling before this?
No, they were great, loving kids before this.
No, I mean, like during the process.
Oh, Isabel's been one time so far as I know, and I don't have to ask Marnie about it.
Okay.
But she has been, they're starting it, so she needs to be in counseling because we got to get past this, because she won't, like I said, she won't go to the bathroom out by herself, and she would get up in the middle of the night and go to the bathroom by herself without a problem, and now she won't. She's terrified, and they're terrified they're going to run into her. She's terrified she's going to run into her at the store. And Reese, like I said, he's watching this cartoon about monsters, and he refers to her and Keys as the monsters in the TV show now. I had photos on my table of us at Chuck E. Cheese on her birthday, on Izzy's birthday, and she ripped them up and ripped her mom out and taking it to the counselor, and then drew all over it with black marker, like cut her right out of it. And I walked into the kitchen, and here these pictures are just tore up, and I was like, baby, what are you doing? I don't want her in these pictures. She did not want them in. She didn't want her in them. She just tore them up. And I just think she's been really traumatized from this, and I just want them to be better. And I just think she shouldn't have to pay for what she did. I really do. She shouldn't just. I hope that they get on probation. I hope she learns from this. Definitely needs parenting classes. I think that Jasmine loves her children, but she doesn't know how to put her children first. She doesn't know how to sacrifice for her kids. You put your kids first, always, as a mother, and she's never done that. No. And I've known her since Isabel's born. So, I don't think she ever will be able to put her kids first.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for listening to me.
Of course.
Right, you step up to the podium too.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And could you start out by stating your full name?
It's Margaret Apple,
Spell your last name,
APPLE.
just like it sounds. Okay.
Yes.
So go
What's your first name?
Margaret,
Thank you.
MARGARET.
Thanks.
I guess first and foremost, Wanda's referring to the incident with Reese happening in a bathroom. That is why Isabel is having issues with the bathroom. But from the very beginning, after this happened, Reese would have nightmares. He would holler out in the middle of the night or cry. He would holler out things like, quit, don't, stop, I don't want to, why? Or he would be crying in his sleep. And he occasionally, I mean, we try very hard to spell around him if we have to be speaking about anything referring to this, so that he's not picking up on anything. And he just comes right out and just says stuff. Something sparks his memory, something he sees on TV, something somebody says, and then he just interjects with, Mommy and Keys did this, or I didn't like it when Mommy did that, or I don't ever, 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 ever want to see Mommy and Keys again. And I don't know how to, I guess, exactly describe what it's like for him on a daily basis. We move on, we do as much things as we can. We all spend as much time with him as we can, trying to get further and further and further away from the incident, that I'm hoping that it's not going to carry. He's not going to carry this for the rest of his life, but he speaks a lot about it. And when I initially saw the bruises, the first thing I said was, oh my goodness, Reese, what happened? How did you get all these bruises? He said point blank, I peed on the floor. He was in the middle of potty training. I peed on the floor and Mama and Keys whooped me with a belt and put me in a corner. And I was the one that reported it. I was told to get Tommy and get it medically documented and started all of this. And I'm really and truly hoping that these kids can get past this and that they don't have all these residual effects and these lasting effects of years and years and years of abuse. And I do believe, I'm just throwing this out, Isabel suffered longer because she was older. And even we're a year, almost a year exactly at this, and Reese is still talking about it, still making reference to it. And I just say, well, you know what? Everything's okay now. This is how I move him out of the direction of him starting to, you know, everything's fine now. You're safe now. Everything's good now. You know, just so that I'm hoping slowly but surely we can kind of work this out of his mind so he's not as traumatized. But he's still to this day, a year later, has nightmares and dreams and still talks about how he doesn't want to ever see them again and that they are monsters. And I am not one of those people. I do not discuss this. I do not prompt him. I do not ask him questions. I don't ask him how he feels about this incident. This is something that we just never discuss, and he is the one that brings it up.
But he has to talk about it, and that's why he should be in counseling. He should be doing talk therapy. he should be discussing it with professionals and working through it. He has to talk about it.
Yes, and Tommy has that paperwork.
Okay. Because if he
But
doesn't,
what I encourage, and that's what I was saying earlier, is that, well, you know, everything's okay right now. You know, you're safe right now. Yes, I do understand what you're saying. I appreciate that. Thank
he's
you.
not safe. Like, he's safe today, but I think in his mind, he doesn't know he'll be safe tomorrow. So I think, you know, he's doing good about talking about it, but he needs to be in counseling. Both of them do.
I do understand that. Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. Anything you want to say on behalf of the people?
Yes, Your Honor. So just briefly, I think it's important to note that when this investigation happened and Detective Putnam was investigating it, Ms. Carver was not cooperative. She lied several times and was caught in those lies. She said she didn't have a belt at all in the home. They found a belt in the home. She said it wasn't her belt, it was a friend's belt who had stayed the night. They went and interviewed that friend. That friend said, no, I've never spent the night there. That's not my belt. That's not my size. Wasn't even her correct name, actually, or the place where she was employed. So there were a lot of lies that were told about this. When I saw the photographs of the injuries on this little 3-year-old, it was startling. They were very distinct and clear belt marks. There were marks that indicated to me that the buckle of the belt had struck this little 3-year-old as well. When I asked his father, Tommy, and his guardians, Wanda and Marty, to describe their reaction when they saw those, they cried as they told me about it. And they said their immediate reaction when they saw the marks was to cry. You know, you're not supposed to see marks like that on a little boy's body, on a little child's body. And I guess I'm especially disheartened this morning as I look at Ms. Carver on Zoom, and I don't think that you had the benefit of seeing this because you were focusing on Marty and Wanda as they spoke, but Ms. Carver rolled her eyes and shook her head as they spoke, and I didn't see one bit of remorse from her. And I hope that she has remorse for the injuries that were inflicted on her young child, but she didn't demonstrate that this morning as Wanda and Marty were speaking, and I think that that's really disheartening. So I would just ask you to take all of that into consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Wagner. Ms. Underwood.
I'm sorry, I put out there first.
You first,
I had very
one
bad
moment.
signal.
One moment, I'll address that. Your Honor, I would like to start out by saying this is a tragedy for all concerned. Ms. Carver does not minimize in any way the damage done to her children. Ms. Carver understands that. Ms. Carver has lost custody of her children. Ms. Carver is not even allowed any parenting time with her children. She has paid a price for that. Your Honor, Ms. Carver, I believe there was an assault case with Ms. Carver as a victim with the other person who was initially charged in this. Your Honor, Ms. Carver makes no excuses, Your Honor, for her conduct. Ms. Carver told me this morning that she has been getting daily texts from anonymous people threatening her and saying really repugnant things to her. And that's, I think, why she is upset this morning, in addition to what we're doing here. Ms. Carver fully understands, Your Honor, that she has a long way to go, both as a person and to make herself, to atone for what happened here, Your Honor. We would ask that the court sentence Ms. Carver to probation with the provisions that the court feels comfortable. Ms. Carver does not live in the county anymore. there should be no excuse for any contact between these people at all at this point. I think it may never happen, you know, but I think that we would ask the court to comply with the plea agreement in this matter, Your Honor. Ms. Carver is ready to and eager to get this behind her.
Ms. Carver, anything you'd like to say on your own behalf?
Yes. I need this to be reminded. When I had my daughter, being my circumstances, I understood that I couldn't care for her. And I gave her to Wanda. I put my trust in Wanda for my daughter. I didn't get any kind of full custody of my daughter until about a month, 2 months after I had asked them if I could put her on my taxes because they had been filing taxes for her. It was a problem. They stole her social security card and went ahead and did it anyways. I was trying to get Section 8 housing for
So
me
Ms.
and
Carver, Ms. Carver, listen, I want to hear what you have to say about the fact your children were beaten. So why don't we talk about that?
I never, and I really say this with all my heart, and I feel like with what we've been through, I would never put my hands on my children. I realized that somebody else was, and I got away from them. I take blame for not noticing that that was happening, and I apologize for that. I do. I apologize. I did not realize that was happening. I didn't. I love my children. That will never change. And I have completely removed myself from all of that. I'm going to church. I'm going to parenting classes. I'm going to therapy. I'm doing everything that I can. And I'm trying to be a better person. I'm trying to be there for my kids, but I get woken up every morning telling me that I'm a horrible person and that's why my mom died and my dad doesn't love me and I should just go kill myself. And it's like, I'm trying everything I can. And I realize I made mistakes and I put myself and my children around people who they shouldn't have been around. And I regret that. I will always regret that. But I'm doing everything that I can to fix the problem that I can be allowed. You know what I mean? I'm doing everything I can.
Anything else?
I will do whatever I can for my children. I will do whatever I can. And even if that means I have to do it from a distance right now. I understand the predicament. But at the same time, these people, I mean, it doesn't even matter because, I mean, I have people who could stand up and literally attest to say that these people are lying. But I just felt like no matter what, I'm not going to be heard. So
Ms. Carver, thank you. In determining the appropriate sentence in this case, the court has considered the seriousness of the offense, your history, the principle of proportionality, the statutory penalty, the cost of confinement, the sentencing guidelines, the report and recommendation of the probation department, as well as what has been said upon the record at this hearing. The criteria and reasons for the sentence are the nature and gravity of the offense, the discipline appropriate to its commission, deterrence against repetition by you and by others, potential for reformation, vindication for the law and protection of society. So Ms. Carver, what I heard was a lot of deflection of blame. Being a mother, I know if my kid has a bad mosquito bite. I certainly would know if someone was beating the shit out of my kid. And you let them. You're not talking anymore, I'm talking. So, you know, unfortunately, this happened, and now your kids are gonna pay for this for the rest of their lives. The rest of their lives, because in their eyes, you are a monster now. So I'm glad that you're making progress. I'm glad that you're doing things through CPS. But, you know, these children will take years to recover from this, and that's why they need to be in counseling. They can't forget about it. They have to deal with it. So they need to be in counseling so they don't marry a man who beats the crap out of them or, you know, beat the crap out of their girlfriend. You know, they have to change that. And unfortunately, you did not protect them, and that's why we're here today. So it's sentence of the court that you will pay, you'll be placed on probation for a period of 12 months under 769.4A. During that term of probation, you will pay $750 in court costs, $450 court-appointed attorney fee, $100 fine, $50 in state costs, $75 crime victim rights fee, $30 per month supervision fee. During your term of probation, you're not to use any illegal controlled substances, any alcohol, not to be unsupervised around any minor children under the age of 17. You are to maintain employment, not to commit any assaultive behavior. Anything else?
I would ask for no contact order between her and the children, and
This is a CPS case, right?
she's lost custody to both children at
Or
this
her parental
point,
rights
so
terminated?
I believe so. Yes.
Okay, no contact with the minor children.
And can we include the children's fathers? I can give you their names, as well as Wanda Short and Margaret Apple, who frequently have the children in their custody.
Okay, so Ms. Underwood, no contact with the children, their fathers, or the guardians. So you understand, Ms. Carver, you're not to have any contact with either biological father or either of the women who were here speaking today, Ms. Apple and Ms. Short. Do you understand that?
Yes. Will I be able to see my kids ever again?
No, you lost custody. You lost your parental rights over them. Your rights were terminated, correct, Ms. Carver?
I thought my custody was terminated. I thought I still had rights.
I don't know. I don't have that file, but I don't know if you'll ever see your kids again. You know, maybe when they're adults, if they want to see you, but that would be them when they're an adult. Okay, okay. And, what are the father's names?
Tommy Veazey, right? Veazey, and Caree, Caree McQueen.
Carrie.
It's pronounced Caree, but it's Caree
McQueen. All right. Okay. All right. So Miss Carver, you do have the right to appeal this sentence, and we're going to mail to you 3 copies of your notice of right to appellate review. You'll initial and date 1 copy, put it back in the self-addressed envelope and mail it back to us. The other copies are for you. And if you wish to appeal the sentence, you would fill out the information on the form and mail it to the address listed on the form within 42 days. I'm going to need you to report to the district court probation officer on July 11th, next Thursday, between 8 and 10 a.m. Do you understand that?
Yes.
And you also need to maintain employment. So Ms. Adams, I'll need to fill out a district court. All right, so, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.